Hey guys, Bowie here, and this is things I've learned with EG.Arteezy's Phantom Assassin in 7.16. As always, I just want to remind everyone that I'm casting High pubs every day. I would love to be casting Super Major, but thanks to the time difference and me sharing a house, it's not really a possibility to be casting that late into the night, which sucks. By the way, I'm not sponsored by Plugin anymore, so if you want to support me trying to become a caster, give my stream a try. You can decide which player I'm gonna be casting, and it's usually pretty fun. Just tune in 12 hours after the video is online. This game is the perfect Arteezy game. This is how it starts, and there's a lot about this game to talk about, especially Arthur's item build. With dual lanes being so popular, safe laners are more miserable than ever, and this is a great game that shows how much a safe laner can struggle and how you can adapt. Playing dual lanes is way less about farming than it is to assert dominance first. A lot of the times, the duo that gets level 2 first will be able to dominate the lane, and here you can see Arteezy diving as soon as he gets it. This is a huge power spike for the lane, and they try to utilize it as best as possible. Right now, Dire has a lot of potential golden experience that will be wasted for Radiant if they can either get a kill or repel them from the tower. Look how they keep on abusing their advantage. There's no Dire buildings taking damage, but they use the glyph anyways, just so that the Radiant doesn't get a level 2, while the Radiant creeps die faster, making them take more damage and dissuade them from trying to get CS. Sand King dies without getting level 2, Radiant pretty much didn't get any CS out of that massive creep wave, and they just keep the pressure up at all times. Arteezy eventually tries to sneak in towards the side shop to finish his Aquila, but with Sand King being close, he kinda gives up. Note how they get a kill right after it though. Arteezy focuses the Sand King and not Night Stalker. Not only he has less levels, he's fairly less tanky than a Night Stalker. He also never commits the Blink Strike since the Burrow Strike can be used to mitigate all the extra attack speed that he has. He sidesteps the Burrow Strike, and that's just a juicy kill. Nighttime comes, and note how Arteezy is not afraid to commit regen. In this era of dual lanes, getting 2-3 sets of tangles and salves is commonplace, and it's the only way for it to secure levels and eventually scale into the game. By playing very far back and baiting the IO, they secure another kill on those hungry offlaners. And since it's try time, Arteezy can regen without using the items he got, while also TPing straight back to his lane. One thing I need to mention in this game that might have propelled the PA pick by Arteezy is the Murana pick. Blur can now detect Invis heroes, making it almost a map hack, since the only thing you cannot detect anymore is smoked units. Those Moonlight Shadow rotations or even Shadow Blade / Silver Red rotations from Void are very easy to detect now. For now though, Arteezy has the Blur icon working fine, and vision of almost every Radiant hero fighting bottom. With vision of those Radiant heroes and knowing that Void is dead and Moonlight Shadow is on cooldown, he can turn his Aquila on and with the huge wave, pressure the tower. In case you didn't watch any of my many PA videos, Blur is able to detect units in a 1600 radius around PA. So note how the icon comes back as Sand King leaves the lane, showing that there's no one around Arturito right now. Arteezy plays super aggressively. Just a few seconds later, he finishes his phase boots in the side shop, and he instantly goes in with Blink Strike and phase boots, but struggles to get vision for the follow-up dagger. His IO is coming though, and he wants to play as aggressively as possible, so look what he does. He knows that Burrow Strike and Sandstorm are on cooldown. As he goes in, he eats a tango, backpacks the Selvin Mango that he has, while he secures that kill. Sand King DCs though, but keep watching. Arthur knows that Starstorm is on cooldown and he mans up on Murana. He doesn't get the kill, but thanks to the backpack salve, he's healthy to keep on laning. Knowing that Murana has to go back to base and that Void is bottom without Chrono, he keeps on daggering the Witch Doctor. He knows how much that guy wants to get the range creep, and Arthur uses that perfectly. He just waits long enough so that he'll have another dagger after the slow ends, while also knowing that IO is around. He also makes sure not to give an angle for the double Burrow Strike, which allows him to jump the Sand King after the stun, but without detection, the aggression halts. Unfortunately though, our boy's thirst for the Ring of Health was bigger than his map awareness. You can see the Blur icon disappearing, and that was a Murana Moonlight Shadow gank that he could have avoided. He dies, while spending his gold at least, but kind of a bummer. You might think that Arteezy wants to get a battlefield with this game, but let me tell you, this is one of the wonkiest builds I've ever seen on a PA, and it's a reflex of how the dual lane meta is shaping the safe lane cores. Unless you're playing something like a Spectre that can without a doubt create space and deal damage, heroes have to adapt, and the greedy builds from the earlier patches are almost always not an option, especially if you're playing with people that actually know how to pressure you. If you're not dealing with a hero that forces you to go Battle Fury, like Meeple, PL, etc., if you're feeling pressured, sometimes just trying to go for those minor items might work. In this game, Arteezy just cares about being a thick PA that cannot get bursted with him Chrono, Burrow Epicenter, and stuff like Chrono into Arrow. We will talk more about that. Early on, you don't lack damage at all. Usually as a PA, you would get like a Perseverance at this stage of the game that gives you 0 damage anyways, which means that you can still fight and be a presence in those early fights like we see here. Interestingly enough, our boy decides to get a hood before he finishes the Vanguard. Most of the early game damage that Radiant has is magical, and thanks to the sustain and the baits that Arthur and the Io set up, look how tanky and deceptively strong he is. Since he's fighting that much, Magic Wand is very necessary. And he doesn't want to stop. Mirana tries to be aggressive, Arthur forces Moonlight Shadow, and look how beautifully he uses the fog to dodge the ward damage. Since he's that tanky, he can get the Mirana before falling, and this Hood PA is 8 and 3 in 12 minutes. As a result of that fight, Void TP's top and he commits Chrono, and that's very important because with Moonlight Shadow and his ultimate on cooldown, it gives Arteezy the chance to play twice as aggressive. As soon as he respawns, he shows top, dives him, and that already forces another TP to that line. That high ground ward gives Arteezy the safety to keep farming, and moments after that, we see another relocate gank, and since Arteezy is that tanky, he doesn't fear joining his team that early, whereas a Desolator PA, even with that Io, would probably fear for his life because the new Io kind of forces him to max the balls, which means that only 1 point in overcharge is not usually enough to make you super tanky, especially against a lot of magic damage. He gets arrowed, but pretty much takes no damage. They force buybacks, and Arteezy is okay with playing this crazy. At the end of the day, against that much aggression from Radiant, farming wouldn't yield him anything. He doesn't have vision advantage, and while he can't attack ganks, he would be playing afraid the entire time, and that's not the way to play Dota right now, especially when you have an Io on your team and a lot of potential aggression that he would be missing on. Unfortunately though, he's still not that tanky, and with Chrono getting back up, the arrow setup, one of the many ways Radiant has to lock down targets, he falls. As soon as Arteezy TP stop, look how his blur icon fades, which shows that Radiant heroes are around somewhere. Then it fades away again, giving him some safety, but being aware of it at all times will make you 10 times less likely to die. Interestingly enough, Arteezy played so aggressive this game that there's not a lot of times where I can show it working. But let's keep watching. Since his items are so defensive with the hood and the medallion, Arteezy gets the damage talent and starts working towards his next item. Note that he has more points in evasion, meaning that not only he has the magic shield against the bash damage, he has the evasion to dodge some attacks as well. Another reason for him to build that tanky is that someone will have a silver edge eventually, which means that if you build glass cannon, you're going to die to that faceless void every single time. But if you have more magic resistance, if you have more HP, if you have damage block, it's gonna be harder to burst you. They find themselves surrounded though. Keep watching how he plays. He knows Chrono is on cooldown and that he has Pell Shield and 20 magic wand charges pretty much. He doesn't blink towards the river, he just mans up. He uses the active, the medallion, and that's another kill. With those small and cost-effective items, Arteezy can withstand the Radiant pressure instead of betting whether he can get a Battle Fury BKB in time for the Radiant Aegis push. A few moments later, note what happens. They start pushing mid tier 1, and as Void shows up for a Chrono, Arteezy sees Mirana. And since he's playing that aggressive, he actually escapes the Chrono. And since he's that tanky, he can dive super deep. Void doesn't grab a kill, in fact he dies. Arteezy with the Io lays it out on the Witch Doctor. Mirana buys back, but that gave time for another hood active, and with all that evasion, minus armor, and tank ability, that's a dieback. You can see that a lot of the kills were not coming from the Io overcharge, it was just Arteezy playing that aggressively. In an usual game where everyone is trying to farm, going for a build like this can be risky because eventually you will not scale that well. But if everyone is fighting, it means that everyone will have less levels and less items, and this is enough damage at this stage of the game for you to fight in equal groundings. After that kill, they get 1 tower and pressure the second one, knowing that Chrono is down, and Arteezy gets the minus armor talent. Thanks to those aggressive talents, PA can build items defensively, but get some extra damage without feeling super weak. Radiant tries to go on Arthur, but with evasion and 25 armor, he's insanely tanky. In fact, after the Witch Doctor ward is used, he can go back thanks to his HP regen and also the IO regen. Each fight just becomes an objective, and Arteezy is rarely in fear of dying, especially now that he builds a Crimson Guard. People most of the time think of IO as this hero that will increase your damage, so you want to double down on like more damage and attack speed, and sometimes that can work. This game was all aggression from the start though, and by adapting instead of trying to bang his head against the standard ideas surrounding PA, Arteezy just snowballs like crazy. Note that he doesn't use the Crimson active as soon as it gets to him, he's waiting for Radiant to engage. Until then, he wants to save the cooldown since it doesn't last for that much time. Finally they go in, and Crimson is on. With the medallion, his damage is actually legit and he doesn't fear anything. 15 magic wand charges, 20 HP regen, damage block, evasion, 24 armor. He just dives the fountain. This might not be a problem in lower MMR pubs, but pretty much 80% of the high MMR pubs right now is an offlane that consists of bulky aggressive heroes like your Brewmasters, your Night Stalkers, your Beastmasters, and they just crush your dreams and leave you with 20 CS at 10 minutes. From that point forward, trying to farm a Battle Fury is so crushing and very often can just lose you the game. Trying to play late game PA versus Void is also very scary once Silver Edge gets online, so by getting these cost-effective items and abusing the long Chronosphere cooldown at the early stage of the game, Arteezy shows that Dota is indeed super weird and full of nuance. Yes, he dies here, but only after the kitchen sink from Radiant hits him in the face, and that was his last death this game. Well guys, this wraps up for today. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like. It's the only way for me to know if the players that I'm featuring, if the heroes that I'm featuring interest you or not. As I said already, I'm streaming every single day. I'm trying to become a caster, and I'm trying to find a way to support myself now that Pugna is not around anymore. So any constructive feedback about the videos or my casting, any views, is going to help me a lot. Thanks everyone. If you want to know what's going on with my life, if you want some shit posts or some Dota tips, follow me on Twitter. If you want to see me play or cast, I've been casting way more than I've been playing, but we're getting pretty close to 9k followers, so it would be dope to have some extra follows there. If you want some spoilers about my life or what's the next video, follow me on Instagram, and if you want to talk with people that care about Dota, join our Discord channel. There's more than 500 crispy boys and girls there, and I'm pretty sure you're gonna have a fun time. I really appreciate everyone watching to this point, and you can see the rest of the game if you want. Here's the replay ID. There's crispy music here though, and you also help me pay for the rent at the end of the month, so I greatly appreciate anyone that keeps watching. Thanks guys. Bye.
How do you think the music has changed since then?
Well, the music has changed a lot, you know. These artists nowadays, they ain't got no unity. You know, we had more love amongst each other when we were doing our stuff. You know, nowadays it's like, they always say, where there's plenty money, there's muck, you know. And there's a lot of money in the business nowadays, and the artists them is fighting against each other. There's absolutely no unity, and that's not a good thing.